Hi, it's Stewart Fraser, PGA Professional at Sneinton Golf, and today we've got one of the most anticipated reviews of 2021 for you. It's the Cobra RadSpeed Driver. Now, I'm very excited about this, as are a lot of my colleagues, partially because there's Bryson DeChambeau out there hitting this thing 400 yards, but also the price point. So we've got a $369 price point, which is significantly less than anything else out there on the market at the moment. The thing looks premium, and I'm intrigued to see whether it performs similar to its more expensive rivals on the market at the moment. So let's have a go with this thing and see how it performs. So RadSpeed stands for radial weighting, which means they've distributed more weight around the outside to make this thing a little bit more stable, but also so you can get more of the weight into the important areas around the golf club. It also includes the T-bar chassis that they've used in the last couple of drivers as well, which means again they can remove weight from the crown and the top, and they can put it into more important areas. And what they've done by removing weight from the crown is they've put more weight into the face, so they've put two weights nearer the face to improve ball speed and lower spin, but also with the draw version, and this version in particular, which is the XB, they've put more weight back. So that helps you with higher MOI, it helps you to launch the ball higher up in the air, makes it a lot easier to use, a lot more forgiving. What we've also got, as in previous incarnations of the Cobra Driver, is we've got the CNC milled infinity face. This thing seems to be around to stay for a while because each face takes around 25 minutes to build and manufacture. Now they mill it so precisely so the roll and bulge tolerances on the face are 5 times more precise. Now that in terms of technology is similar to the tailor-made twist face. Off-centre hits, they're going to fly a little bit straighter in theory, but also it gives you faster ball speeds off the club face because that precise milling means you can come up with stronger, thinner face technology. So the 3 different models are the Rad XB, the XD, and then the Speed. So each one is designed for a very specific group of golfer. Now, I've got the XB here, which we're going to test first, but the XB specifically has a larger weight further back in the head, and as I say, that's going to increase the MOI, which is going to increase forgiveness, get the ball launching a lot higher. What I've also got here is the XD, and what's noticeable with the XD is there's a 10 gram draw weight in the heel of the golf club, again helping the toe come in that little bit faster, squaring the club face at impact. But we've also got the Speed, and the noticeable thing about the Speed head aimed at the better player is there's a lot more weight forward. You've got 2 8 gram weights nearer the face instead of 2 4 gram weights like the previous ones, but also we've got a bigger 12 gram weight right up front there. Now this will lower the trajectory, lower the spin rate. It's specifically designed for higher club head speed golfers. So I'm going to start with the XB, so the one with the weight further back, the most forgiving one, the one with the highest MOI. It's got the even flow Riptide CB shaft in, again, which is a shaft I haven't tried personally before. I'm excited to try that. The actual look of the golf club in the XB, it's a gloss head finish, so it's quite a shiny head. It's got a little bit of carbon that's visible at the back of the club head there. It certainly looks decent. You can see the infinity face goes a little bit further back than the normal club face would do on other manufacturers. And we've got a little bit warmer day today, so 8 or 9 degrees. Hopefully I might be able to get it a bit further out there today than normal. The first thing I've noticed is that thing's flown extremely high. So I've got this set at 9 degrees, but that's really popped up in the air. It felt great. I've struck the shot right out the centre of the golf club, and we've immediately got a carry distance there of 240.7 from a club head speed of just short of 105. So I'm more than happy with that. In terms of efficiency, that's a great shot. So I'm going to continue having a few more shots with this, give it a good old test. So I've hit 4 or 5 shots with this. The main thing that I've noticed is how solid it feels. It feels fantastic off the club face and really stable. This is supposed to be the most forgiving driver out of the 3 in the family of drivers, but I've hit a lot of shots from the centre of the club face so far, but the performance has been really good. It is going a little bit further today for me, so it's carrying average about 240 so far. but say it's 8 or 9 degrees, so a little bit warmer today. The dispersion's been excellent so far, so I've hit everything fairly straight, maybe a touch of draw, which is my normal shape. And they've all been in a really tight cluster, which I'm really impressed with. I'm going to move on now to the XD, which should give me a little bit more right to left flight than what I'm used to. We might see the dispersion move a little bit left as well, but let's give that a try. Again, see how that performs. The one change I've got in this is I've now got the hazardous RDX smirk shaft in the XD. It's another one that they do as a stock option. It's another great shaft, so let's give this a hit. Yeah, so the trajectory is really similar to the XB. I'm getting a little more right to left flight on it, like I expected with the extra 10 gram weight in the heel there. The one thing that is noticeable is the performance is pretty similar in terms of spin rate and distance with this golf club. I'm hitting it probably a little bit too high. I've probably got a little bit too much spin on it. That last one was 3.671, which is way too high for me. I have also with this golf club so far that I didn't do with the XB. I've got a couple out the toe of the golf club. Now, each time I've hit this out the toe of the golf club, I've lost flight on the ball. I've got a lot more hook spin on it than what I would expect. And the ball hasn't travelled anywhere near as straight or anywhere near as far as what it has been doing out the centre. So just something to note there with off-centre hits with the XD. Now, typical slicer, this may well help your slice. Get it out the toe of the golf club and the gear effect is going to make the ball hook more. So that could be assistance to your normal slice golfer, but certainly not to me. So this is the one we're all excited about. This is the RadSpeed. This is aimed at me specifically, slightly higher club head speed players. The weight is forward, it's going to lower my spin down, which will hopefully increase my distance. I'll just flick that over onto the correct golf club. We've also got the Motore F1 shaft, which again should suit me. Now, intrigued to see this shaft in the golf club because there aren't any other manufacturers use this shaft without an upcharge fee. I think Titleist charge around about £150, £200 upcharge for this shaft particular, so it's interesting that Cobra can get this shaft in a golf club at a $369 price point. I'm just super excited about it. The whole thing looks really, really premium. Fantastic grip, great shaft. The head is noticeably different from the other two, so we've got a matte finish instead of the gloss. And I much prefer this. It looks much more stealthy than the others, and it actually gives you a little bit more definition between the face line and the crown of the golf club. We've got those little luminous green, limey coloured looking lines on the top there. The whole thing, for me, is the most exciting looking product. It looks noticeably different from anything else I've tried. So let's give this a bash. Come on, hit it out the middle. That first one's absolutely perfect. It feels phenomenal. So initial impressions are the performance looks every bit as exciting as what the look of the golf club does. It seems to be performing great. It has lowered my spin down. That was 2.450 spin, which is about my optimum. And then it's no surprise to see that so far I've gained about 5 to 10 yards with both those first two shots I've hit with this golf club. I'm going to hit more with this. It's going to be more than 4 to 5 shots because I'm loving it so far. But I'm going to give it a really good test, put it through its paces, and I'll be back to you in a minute with some more results. Yeah, this is my favourite out of the three so far. As I would expect, it hasn't always been the case, of course, with the ping clubs we reviewed. It's not always the one that should suit you that does. But this is definitely the RadSpeed. It should be perfect for me. It spins a lot lower, so it certainly spins less than the other two. It spins about 200 or 300 RPM less than the XB and about 600 or 700 less than the XD. So because of that, I'm getting more distance. I'm getting on average 6 or 7 yards more distance with the speed than the other two, but I believe that's because there's a little more weight in the areas that I prefer it, which is in the centre. I did have one that I mishit quite badly out the toe of the golf club, but that only lost 10 or 12 yards on the others. Now, so far I'm averaging about 240 with this. Now that's the best numbers I've produced so far with any driver in any test. It is still a relatively cold day today. It's certainly not British summertime, but the one thing that we tend to do is we use the flight scope tracking device. So there's no prediction involved in this at all. And a few of the other occasions I've been trying drivers in the cold into headwind, so it's very real conditions that you guys are going to experience day in, day out anyway. But so far from what I've seen, this has just outperformed everything else. As I say, it's not a fair test because the conditions today aren't the same. It's not windy and it's not as cold, but I'm really impressed with the performance, and the driver feels great. And as I said earlier, the entire product just looks super premium, which I'm really impressed with. So we're just going to have a quick run through all the data I've found from that testing. I hit a few more shots with the RadSpeed than the other two because I was just enjoying it more. So I'll probably hit 10 or 15 balls with that. But there's definitely differences in performance. So each driver is designed specifically for a different player. So the higher club head speeds are better players. The XD is the guy who slices it typically. And the XB, somebody who wants something that's super forgiving, very accurate, and just really easy to use. It pops the ball up in the air, and it did seem to fly a little bit higher than the other two, but we'll see this in the results anyway. So first of all, we're going to go to carry distance. Now, the XD for me, the one that really shouldn't suit me, flew 230 yard average with the 5 or 6 shots that I hit. The XB, a little bit further, 235, so an increase of 5 yards. But the RadSpeed, with its lower spin rate, flew 241.3 yards on average. And that was with more shots. I did have one or two that got up to about the 250 range, but then I also had a real miss hit that flew about 230, but it was right out the toe of the golf club. I nearly missed it. So I was surprised that I got the distance out of that shot that I actually did do. In terms of spin rates, the club head speed's all the same. The ball speed's a little bit higher with the speed as opposed to the other two. But spin rates, the XD was 2924, which is all right. It's a little bit high spinning for me, but again, the club doesn't really suit me. 2745 for the XB, with that weight a little bit further back, and then instantly lower with the RadSpeed, which is 2513. Now my optimum is about 2400, so that's getting me right down towards my optimum. A little bit more tweaking with that driver, and I think I could get even more out of it. It performed extremely well. Now I thought that the RadSpeed flew a little bit lower than the other two, but it didn't seem to. The overall height was actually a tiny bit higher with the RadSpeed than the others. It did seem to carry further, which I think is purely down to that lower spin rate. But they've all flown a really, really similar height, to be honest, and spent a similar sort of time in the air. It's just that lower spin rate that for me has really made that difference. So I'm just going to move on to dispersion. And on the grouping stage, if I just get all the different shots up that we've hit with all 3 golf clubs, the first thing I've noticed is the least accurate was the XD, but that's because I got 1 or 2 shots going well to the left-hand side, especially when I struck it a little bit out the toe of the golf club. That ball really curved a lot in the air. Next up was the XB, but massively more accurate than the other two, with half the dispersion of the other two was the speed. I'm really, really impressed with the dispersion on that golf club. It's probably as good as anything else I've tried in terms of accuracy. So overall, with the King Cobra Rad drivers, I've been massively impressed with the whole range of 3, really. The testing so far, it's outperformed everything that I've tried in terms of distance. However, we know it's not a fair test down to the weather conditions, but it's as fair as we can do it right now. The one that's definitely performed the best for me has been the speed, but on paper that should have been the one that performed the best. The thing is, I'm just massively impressed by the looks of it as well. It looks different from anything else on the market. And yes, it does take a lot of technology we've already gone through, that's been repeated with other drivers. It has a little bit of a turbulator look on the top, like a Ping. The CNC milled face is kind of similar to the twist face. The movable weights on the bottom, we've kind of seen that in a lot of other drivers as well previously. But the tech in this driver put together in this head with this shaft does seem to work really well. And how they've managed to get it down to a 369 price point when every other golf club on the market is charging a lot more. The Titleist is 499. It's completely beyond me. So in terms of value, this driver represents currently the best value on the market, and I can't see anything else outperforming this in testing. So the RadSpeed is definitely one to factor into the equation when you're thinking about going for that custom fit. It should well perform as well as anything else you can try on the market, and as I said, the price point is very, very attractive. So for me, it's the RadSpeed. It's got a combination of the best looks on the market at the moment. It's one of the best performing drivers on the market at the moment. If I had to actually spend my own money as well, that has to come into the equation, the fact that it's cheaper. I hope you've enjoyed watching this video every bit as much as I have producing it, and we'll have loads more great videos for you coming up soon. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll see you very soon.